Namaskar. Myself, Dr. Ritu Jain. I am serving as Associate Professor in the Department of Physics at the IIS University. I have been working in the Department of Physics from December 1999 as part-time lecturer in the International College for Girls. Then I became assistant professor in July 2000 in the same institute, and then I was promoted to senior assistant professor in July 2005. Then the International College for Girls was named as the IIS University, and then IIS deemed to be university, and in July 2011 I was promoted to the post of associate professor. If I talk of my teaching experience, then I've been teaching the undergraduate classes for the last 21 years and the PG classes for 8 years. This is my research profile. I have supervised 2 PhD theses. I have supervised about 22 MSc dissertations. About 20 research papers are published in various national and international journals. One book is also authored by me. Research papers presented in national and international conferences is about 16, and about 30 seminars or workshops and conferences, refresher courses and FDPs are attended by me. For empowering myself, I have attended a number of courses, but in the last 5 years, the major courses attended by me were the UGC-sponsored refresher course in physical sciences organized by Academic Staff College, University of Rajasthan from December 15, 2014 to January 3, 2015. A 2-day workshop on leadership and management skills for women in higher education was also organized by the IIS University, which was sponsored by the Association of Commonwealth Universities, United Kingdom, from February 16 to 17, 2018. I have also attended a foundation program in ICT for education organized by IIT Bombay to empower faculty with online teaching methodology and flipped classroom pedagogy from September 13, 2018 to October 18, 2018. And in the continuation, one more FTP was also attended by me on pedagogy for online and blended teaching learning process, which was also organized by the IIT Bombay from October 30, 2018 to December 13, 2018. The responsibilities shouldered on me are I have been the center superintendent for the conduction of semester and examinations for the last 6 years. I am a member of DRAC in Physics and Mathematics. I am a member of Board of Studies in Physics. I am a convener of Institutions Innovation Council, which is the council organized from the MHRD's Innovation Cell. I have been the center's coordinator for conducting NGPE exams, that is the National Graduate Physics Examinations, which is conducted by Indian Association of Physics Teachers. I am in charge of Notice Board Committee at my university. I have served on editorial board for the IASU Journal of Science and Technology in year 2017. Now, combining research with academics, I have been able to complete a number of projects, one of which was sponsored by the UGC. It was a minor project, and some student projects have also been completed by me. These are the various conferences and workshops organized by me as organizing secretary or as a course coordinator. On 21st September 2019, I coordinated a 1-day blended mode workshop on eSIM in collaboration with the Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay. I have also organized 2 national conferences, one on 18th to 19th January 2019 on recent trends in material science and nanotechnology as organizing secretary, and one more conference on recent trends in microwave techniques and optical communication from February 4th to 5, 2015 as organizing secretary. Now, if I talk of my teaching strategies, then a number of pedagogical initiatives have been taken by me. I generally take a lecture mode class along with the demonstration. Some presentations are also made. We perform a number of lab experiments, group discussions, class tests are taken on regular basis. UHP slides and LCD projectors are used along with the normal blackboard chalk method. A number of softwares are also used in teaching, for example, MATLAB, PSpice, etc. Learning through e-resources and databases are also emphasized. Various online journals are available. NPTEL resources and e-books are also made available to students. A number of field visits and seminar presentation by students are also there. Now these are a number of innovations in curriculum. A new course on atomic and molecular physics and information communication technology was introduced in the curriculum of BSc Semester 6. Practical use of software like PSpice, MATLAB, Bean2K are also introduced in MSc courses. Papers like astrophysics, medical physics, and a paper on nanotechnology is also introduced in our curriculum. In 2018-19, BSc Honours in Physics was also introduced, for which a number of papers were prepared in consultation with the external members, in which biophysics paper has also been introduced. Now, the seminar presentation is an essential component in all the courses, and in PG programs, that is in MSc Physics, there is a component of dissertation or project work also. In BSc Semester 4, students are also supposed to make a project along with the practicals. Now these are the other innovative practices, like the question papers of previous years are compiled and made available for the students in the departmental library. I was the head of the department for the last 18 years, so these are the some innovative practices that have been developed by me in the department, and we are continuing this process. Every year, the students appear for the National Graduate Physics Examinations. Students are motivated to participate and present papers in various conferences and workshops. And students appear for various entrance examinations for higher studies like JAM, JEST, etc. Now, all the notices and circulars are put up on the Meta Campus, which is our institutional LMS. All the circulars and notices are put up on the Meta Campus accounts of students, through which students can use their ID and password to access the same. Various e-books are also uploaded by the teachers on Meta Campus for students. Now, assignments are given and submitted online by the students, so students can submit their assignments from the place where they are. They don't need to come to the university every time to submit the assignment. Then UG first year students are asked to search an interesting video on physics and or on astrophysics, and the same is then shown to the whole class, and the students really enjoy this part. This is taken as a part of the activity. Now, various dipsticks are also used while teaching to improve the effectiveness of instructions given to the students and to make students attentive and alert in class. Now, as a part of innovations, I also organize a weekly wall magazine. So the students are asked to arrange the articles related to the latest research in physics or general science from different newspapers, just to inculcate scientific temper in them. And with this, students are also promoted to read daily newspapers. Then the quizzes are conducted online through Google Forms or through Kahoot, and the results are shown immediately to the students along with the correct answers. And during this lockdown period, the classes were taken for both UG and PG online using different platforms. And for a surprise, the attendance of the students was more than 90% in each class. The PPTs were shown and various videos were uploaded for the students on their Meta Campus account. Now these are the various best practices. The students are taken to the various field visits to get hands-on experience. A number of ICT resources, PowerPoint presentations and group discussions are used. Specialized lecture series are also organized for the benefit of staff and students. These are a few visits that were where the students were taken. These are a few guest lectures that were organized by the faculty for the students in the department. Now, if I talk of my achievements, then the awards and the honors. The awards received by me is the best oral paper presentation award was bagged by me in International Conference on Advances in Microwave Communication Devices and Applications, which was in association with the IEEE MTS India on February 16-17, 2010. A best oral paper presentation was also bagged by me in a national conference on mobile phones and electromagnetic pollution. I also received a Best Oral Paper Presentation Award in National Conference on Mobile Phones and Electromagnetic Pollution Hazards, Challenges and Solutions, which was organized in association with the Indo Global Healthcare Research Foundation on December 21, 22, 2013. Certificate of Appreciation in the field of academics and research for 3 consecutive sessions were also begged by me by the IS University. A certificate of appreciation and recognition of selfless service and valuable contribution towards Rotary Zone Institute 2015 was also given to me. An award for exemplary services in education by the IIS University Jaipur was given to me on January 26, that is a Republic Day in year 2015. I have also received an appreciation of the invaluable services in education from Lions Club Jaipur, Maine on September 26, 2013. Thank you so much. That's all from my side. Namaskar. Thank you so much.
Namaskar all of you. Today we are going to talk about the rectifiers. So rectifiers are basically the electronic circuits which are commonly used because almost every electronic devices it operates on AC. Now what is rectification? Rectification is basically the process of converting alternating current into the direct current. Now what is the use of converting alternating current into the direct current? So basically this AC, that is alternating current, is less expensive and it is easy to generate. The distance covered by AC is more than that of DC. That means AC can be transmitted from one place to another place through a longer distances, and the power loss during the transmission of AC is also very less as compared to that of DC. Now why is AC preferred over DC voltage? So there are two reasons why this AC voltage is preferred. First one is that the energy loss during the transmission of AC is very less as compared to the DC. So its installation is very easy even when the transformers are at a large distance. Now the AC voltage has the advantage of stepping up and stepping down using transformers. Now there are two types of rectifiers. We have half wave rectifier and full wave rectifier. We know that in an alternating current or in an AC we have a positive half cycle as well as a negative half cycle. So in altogether if we take positive cycle along with the negative cycle, it makes a full cycle or it is a full wave. So the rectifiers are of two types: half wave rectifier in which only half of the AC is rectified, and full wave rectifier in which full wave is rectified. Now here we are talking of half wave rectifier. So this half wave rectifier basically converts half, or it may convert the positive half cycle or any half cycle of input into the another half cycle, whereas the other half cycle is blocked. So only positive half cycle is passed through the diode, whereas the negative half cycle is blocked by the diode. So it basically, so here you can see that here this is the alternating current, this is the positive half cycle of alternating current, and this is the negative half cycle of the alternating current. When this alternating current passes through a diode, then you can see that only positive half cycle is allowed to pass through the diode, whereas the negative half cycle is blocked here. So this is the circuit diagram of half wave rectifier, in which we have a transformer. This is the step down transformer, this is the primary coil of the transformer, and this is the secondary coil of the transformer. This is the diode which we are using, and this is the load through which we are taking the output. So when alternating current is passed through this primary coil, then as a result of which an EMF will be induced in the secondary coil. So let us suppose first the positive half cycle of AC is passed through this diode. So as a result of which, when this secondary is at this terminal is at positive voltage, then the diode will be in the forward bias condition, in which it will conduct electricity and the current will pass through the load. But during the negative half cycle, this portion of secondary coil will be at a negative voltage, as a result of which this diode will be in the reverse bias state, and hence it will not conduct. So as a result of which, there will be no output through this load, and therefore we will get no voltage or zero current in the output, as we can see in here in this waveform. Again, for the next positive half cycle, this diode will become conducting and we will get the output in the a DC output along across RL. So let us talk about the full wave rectifier now. So this full wave rectifier, what is the use of this full wave rectifier now? So what happens is, when we use a half wave rectifier, a significant amount of power gets wasted, as only 1/2 of the cycle is passed through the diode. Moreover, the half wave rectifier is not efficient. We cannot use it for applications which need a smooth and DC output. So a full wave rectifier, it converts both halves of the cycle of alternating current into the pulsating DC current. Now this is the circuit diagram of the full wave rectifier. Here, instead of a single diode, we will use 2 diodes. Here you can see that we are using 2 diodes. So we can see that we are using 2 diodes D1 and D2. Again, but here the main difference between the full wave rectifier and the half wave rectifier is that here we are using 2 diodes and we are using the center tapped transformer. Here you can see that this transformer is tapped from the center. So again we are using a transformer, but the transformer is center tapped transformer. When alternating current is given to the primary coil of the transformer, it passes through the to the secondary coil and an EMF is induced here. EMF is induced in the secondary coil. So let us talk of the positive half cycle. If a positive half cycle is passed through this primary coil of the transformer, then a positive voltage will be developed at this point A, as a result of which this diode D1 will be forward biased. But this point B of the secondary coil of the transformer will be at negative voltage, as a result of which this diode D2 will be reverse biased. So this diode D2, since it is reverse biased, it will not conduct the current, it will not conduct, and as only diode D1 will conduct, and a current will pass through this diode D1 and then it will pass through this load. Similarly, in the negative half cycle, what will happen? Now this point A will be at negative voltage, as a result of which this diode D1 will be negatively biased and it will not conduct the current, but the secondary coil, this point B of the secondary coil will be at the positive voltage, as a result of which this diode D2 will be forward biased and we will get a current across the RL. So in the output you can see that for the full cycle, that means even for the positive half cycle and for the negative half cycle, we are getting the current in the output, whereas in the half wave rectifier this portion was missing. The negative half cycle was not there in the output. Now this will be very clear from this video. Now here is a video which shows you the working of this full wave rectifier. This is the alternating current. Here the positive terminal voltage is given. So that means here also we will have a positive voltage. Now here this is negative voltage. A negative voltage is developed here, as a result of which the diode D1, for positive diode it conducts, for reverse it is conducting. So you can see that in the first half cycle diode D1 is conducting. In the second half cycle this diode D2 is conducting. Here you can see that diode D2 is conducting this time. So here you can observe the waveforms that we are getting the output in both the situations, that in both the cycles we are getting the full wave rectification is done. Now here we can compare half wave rectifier with the full wave rectifier. First of all, we will talk about the center tapping. This is about the transformer. We are using a center tapped transformer in the full wave rectifier, whereas in half wave rectifier no center tapping is required. The rectification efficiency of half wave rectifier is just 40.6%, whereas for the full wave rectifier it is 81.2%. Rectification is basically the amount of alternating current that we are getting in the amount of direct current that we are getting in the output. Ripple factor is 1.21 of half wave rectifier, because the amount of alternating current in the output is more, and here it is just 0.482. The transform utilization factor for half wave rectifier is 0.286, whereas for full wave rectifier it is 0.692. The voltage regulation of half wave rectifier is good, but it is better for full wave rectifier. The number of diodes, if we talk of number of diodes, then only one diode is required in the half wave rectifier, whereas 4 or 2 diodes. If we are using a simple full wave rectifier, we require 2 diodes. Otherwise, for a bridge full wave rectifier, we will require 4 diodes. So as such, this full wave rectifier is expensive as compared to that of the half wave rectifier, because the number of diodes is increased and plus the center tapped transformer is also very costly. But if we talk of efficiency, then obviously the full wave rectifier is much more efficient than that of the half wave rectifier. That's all. So if you want to ask any questions regarding the rectifiers, you may ask please. Thank you.